At the dawn of the internet, it was they who helped users navigate the chaos of the World Wide Web. The very first internet search engine, Yahoo, amazed everyone with its meteoric rise. Their site became the #1 portal, and every user recognized the bold purple logo. They could have bought Google for a laughable sum, absorbed Facebook, and taken over YouTube. But every time success was within reach, they made the wrong choice. A pioneer of the internet that became a symbol of missed opportunities. How a startup by 2 Stanford students became the most influential player in the IT world, but ultimately lost to competitors and vanished from the scene. Today, the story of Yahoo's rise and fall. It all began in 1994 in a small student trailer at Stanford University. 2 graduate student friends, Yang and David Filo, were working on their dissertations, but while their academic advisor was on vacation, instead of doing boring research, they ordered pizza and spent most of their time on the newly emerging internet. At that time, it was possible to visit all existing websites in just a few hours, but new ones were appearing every day. Jerry and David started sharing links to interesting websites with each other. And since they were always a bit competitive, each of them tried to find something cooler than the other. I was constantly asking Dave to show me what he had found, Yang recalled. As a result, each of them ended up with their own hot list. Then Dave wrote a program to combine them. Before search engines appeared, the internet was chaotic, and the guys decided to somehow organize the sites they had found. They called the list Jerry and David's Guide to the World Wide Web. At first, it spread among Filo and Yang's friends, and then word about it spread throughout Stanford. Before long, the guys started receiving a massive influx of letters from total strangers asking them to add this or that site to the list. The tedious academic dissertation was put on the back burner. Now Jerry and David had a much more thrilling and engaging project that took up nearly every waking hour of their day. The long name was replaced with the concise Yahoo. When registering the company, the creators of the Yahoo search platform were unpleasantly surprised. It turned out that an organization with that name already existed and was producing barbecue sauce. That's why the developers of the search engine had to add an exclamation mark at the end of Yahoo. When their academic advisor returned from vacation, he discovered that the modest trailer of his graduate students had become the headquarters of a rapidly growing internet directory. Stanford University actively supported various student projects, many of which eventually evolved into highly successful startups, and generously provided the company Yahoo with free traffic and servers. And the Netscape browser, which at that time held more than 75% of the market, made Yahoo the default link in the directory section, attracting a huge number of users. By the end of the year, the site had reached 1 million visits, and by January 1995, it was already receiving more than 100,000 unique visitors per day. What started as a hobby had now turned into a full-fledged business. And in March of 1995, Jerry and David registered their company. From the very beginning, the friends decided that search should be free. They were convinced that if they started charging users, people would simply stop visiting the site. However, attracting investment was not easy. Many investors were skeptical about a business without a clear revenue model. One day, Michael Moritz from Sequoia Capital, the company that had financed such Silicon Valley giants as Apple, PayPal, LinkedIn, and Instagram, dropped by to see them at Stanford. Within 2 hours, they convinced him that Yahoo should remain free. Sequoia had their doubts, but Moritz believed in them. Yahoo already had a huge audience, which meant monetization was only a matter of time. Already in April 1995, Sequoia invested $1 million in Yahoo in exchange for a 25% stake in the company. This became one of Sequoia's most successful investments. By 1999, their stake was already worth $8 billion, and at its peak, Yahoo's valuation exceeded $125 billion. Yahoo's main source of income came from selling banner ads on its homepage. This approach quickly attracted major players. Banners allowed customers to be directed to advertisers' websites with a single click, which was innovative for that time. In addition, Yahoo began sharing traffic with lesser-known sites, such as online stores. They gained customers, and Yahoo received a percentage of the sales. Yang and Filo made the right choice. Users appreciated that the service was free for them and that advertisers paid for everything. At the same time, Microsoft's paid subscription model did not find success. Gradually, Yahoo evolved from a simple directory into a full-fledged portal with news, weather forecasts, and event listings. Jerry and David believed that their main advantage over competitors was that they were the first. As the default search tool in Netscape, the company earned the trust of the first internet users. Having gotten used to Yahoo, they kept coming back again and again, even when other search engines appeared. This gave the company a huge head start in the battle for the market. Unfortunately, their advantage did not last forever, and as we know, Yahoo was unable to maintain it in the future. But for now, the company is growing confidently, and in November 1995, thanks to investments from Japan's SoftBank, it was valued at $40 million. Already on April 12, 1996, Yahoo went public with its IPO. In the morning, their shares were priced at $13, but by the evening, they had soared to $33. By the end of trading, the company had raised $33.8 million, and its market capitalization reached almost $850 million. Much of this success was due to Yahoo skillfully using advertising and partnerships to secure its place in the public consciousness. Their vibrant purple logo quickly began to appear everywhere. From hockey arenas to billboards and t-shirts, Businessweek famously observed that Yahoo was creating a cool Californian image. Hip but not radical, simple but not primitive. In addition, the founders spent their entire annual budget on advertising. The majority of the funds were allocated to television commercials about Yahoo. And it worked. Jerry Yang admitted that the IPO made him anxious. Yes, Yahoo certainly had millions in its accounts at that time, but profits were still rather small. For comparison, in the first quarter after its IPO, the tech giant Netscape earned $56 million, while Yahoo made only $3 million. In 1995, their annual revenue recorded was a modest $1.4 million. But this did not scare off investors. The main thing was for the audience to keep growing. Yahoo could only hope that they would find a way to monetize this traffic as soon as possible. So in pursuit of profit, Yang and Filo began placing more and more ads on their sites. It was a good time to take off. Later, this period would be called the dot-com bubble, an era when internet companies grew at a rapid pace. This was all because, in the late 90s, investors eagerly invested in any business related to the internet, even if those businesses lacked a convincing business model or real income. Stock market players believed that any internet business could be scaled up. During this period, competition for advertising was especially fierce. Many companies, such as Amazon, made million-dollar deals to place online shopping buttons on Yahoo. Yahoo was expanding. During this period, the platform introduced news sections, weather forecasts, stock quotes, and many other features, which made Yahoo not just a search engine, but a full-fledged internet portal offering users a variety of content and services all in one place. Media companies eagerly cooperated with them, providing content in exchange for a share of the advertising revenue. Instead of developing new services from scratch, Yahoo began acquiring ready-made solutions. For example, in 1997, Yahoo Mail made its official debut thanks to the purchase of 411, which owned Rocket Mail, for $92 million. Once again, the company outpaced its competitors by offering users free email. This was followed by Yahoo News, Yahoo Messenger, Yahoo Finance, shopping, and digital games. They were no longer just directing people to other sites, but creating their own services. It was a land grab, recalled one of Yahoo's marketers. Companies were investing too aggressively, but don't blame us, we were just taking the money. By 1998, Yahoo had become the undisputed market leader, 40 million visitors per month and 12 million Yahoo Mail users. Yahoo's already well-known investor, the Japanese company SoftBank, invested $250 million in the company, acquiring 37% of the shares. The company's market value rose to between $6 and $9 billion. That same year, an event occurred that seemed insignificant at first glance, but would later prove to be fatal for Yahoo. Two young developers tried to sell their website to the internet giant as it was distracting them from their studies and research. Much like Yang and Filo once did, these guys didn't want to turn their project into a business. They asked for $1 million, but Yahoo refused, considering the amount too high for yet another unknown search engine. The young men involved were Sergey Brin and Larry Page, and the website they were offering at the time was called Google. A few years later, Yahoo would lose the competition to exactly that site. But for now, it's 1999, and Yahoo becomes the largest internet portal just 4 years after its founding. The company's value reached $100 billion. In that very same year, Yahoo successfully acquired GeoCities for $3.5 billion, a move that became one of the largest acquisitions of internet companies at the time. The web hosting service GeoCities was the third most visited site on the internet and allowed users to create their own web pages. Essentially, it was a personal space on the web, organized by thematic sections. This format became the predecessor of modern social networks. However, despite GeoCities' popularity, Yahoo was unable to effectively monetize the platform. With the emergence of competitors like MySpace and Facebook, the project began to lose ground. On January 3, 2000, Yahoo's shares reached a historic high of $475 per share, making the company the most valuable in the world at that time. It seemed that nothing could threaten its dominance, but this peak turned out to be short-lived. That same year, the dot-com bubble burst. Investors did not assess the actual profitability of internet startups, investing indiscriminately in dot-coms, and the market overheated. When the bubble burst, Yahoo's shares plummeted from a record $118 to $8. Before long, Yahoo realized that their search engine was lagging behind its competitors. But due to ongoing financial difficulties, management chose not to invest in developing their own technology and opted to use an existing one instead. And here Google once again enters the stage. Yahoo signed a 4-year contract with them, integrating Google's search engine into their system. This enabled the company to concentrate on other services while providing users with significantly more precise search results. Both sides were satisfied. At that time, Yahoo had no idea they were making a serious mistake. Gradually, users began making queries directly through Google, and Yahoo's popularity started to decline. By 2002, it was no longer Page and Brin approaching Yahoo, but Yahoo itself trying to buy its rapidly growing competitor. At that time, Google was already gaining momentum, generating $400 million in annual revenue, although Yahoo was still earning significantly more. The company offered to buy Google for $3 billion, but Brin and Page asked for $5 billion. Yahoo considered the amount too high and refused. Just think, they could have added only $2 billion and acquired a company whose market capitalization today exceeds $2 trillion. And already in 2004, Google would go public with a market capitalization of $23 billion, and its shares would surpass Yahoo's in value. In 2004, Yahoo launched paid inclusion of websites in their search index, which had an extremely negative impact on their reputation. Website owners were willing to pay as much as $49 to add their pages, and this sparked significant criticism from both users and marketers. Many feared that paid site inclusion would unfairly manipulate search results, giving an advantage not to the most relevant resources, but to those who paid for placement. These growing doubts about the objectivity and quality of the search results gradually eroded the public's trust in Yahoo. Nevertheless, this practice continued for another 5 years and was only finally discontinued in 2009. In 2005, Yahoo made its first successful deal in years. It invested $1 billion in the rapidly growing Chinese company Alibaba, acquiring a substantial 40% of its shares. At the same time, Alibaba took over the management of Yahoo China. This investment is considered one of the most profitable in Silicon Valley history. Just 2 years after Alibaba went public on the Hong Kong Stock Exchange, its shares soared from $13 to $39. Usually, such investments provide a company with financial stability for years, but not in Yahoo's case. Back in 2012, while they were facing significant financial difficulties, the company sold 20% of its shares back to Alibaba Group, missing out on the chance for enormous future profits. Just 2 years later, in the year 2014, Alibaba would go on to hold the single largest IPO in global history, and its shares would eventually rise to $92 each. By the way, we talked about the Chinese internet giant Alibaba and its extraordinary founder Jack Ma in one of our recent videos. If you haven't seen it yet, make sure you take the time to check it out. And if you want more stories about the rise and fall of great entrepreneurs and major companies, please consider supporting our work with a like and subscribe to our YouTube and Telegram channels so you don't miss any of the next episodes. Trying to cope with growing competition, Yahoo bought a series of promising small startups but never managed to capitalize on them properly. And in 2006, the company unfortunately missed out on yet another massive business deal that could have taken it to a whole new level. Yahoo tried to acquire the young social network Facebook for $1 billion. Mark Zuckerberg was against it, but two other directors persuaded him to discuss the possibility of selling. However, at Yahoo, due to Facebook's financial indicators, they lowered their offer to $850 million. The latter immediately refused any further discussions. That same year, Yahoo was negotiating to buy YouTube and was close to closing the deal, but a longtime competitor of Yahoo, Google, entered the race for the video hosting site. At the last moment, Google offered $1.6 billion and YouTube went to them. The deal with Yahoo fell through just hours before the contract was to be signed. In 2007, Jerry Yang personally took the helm of Yahoo, becoming CEO. But this did not save the situation. The company's revenues continued to decline. In addition, Yahoo faced accusations of cooperating with the Chinese authorities, specifically of providing access to private correspondence, which led to the arrest and conviction of dissidents in China. In November 2007, the company reached an out-of-court settlement with the plaintiffs. As a result of the scandal, its market capitalization fell by 11%, amounting to $31 billion. Then, in 2008, another potentially lucrative deal fell through. Microsoft famously offered to buy Yahoo for $44 billion, but the company's top management ultimately refused the bid, considering the amount simply too low. They insisted on $53 billion. In response, Microsoft withdrew its offer and ended negotiations. Consequently, this led to Yahoo's shares dropping by 15% and a loss of $6 billion in total market capitalization. The following year, the companies did make a deal, but not for an acquisition. Instead, it was a partnership in the field of search technologies. Yahoo integrated Microsoft's Bing search engine, and advertising sales became a joint effort. However, the agreement turned out to be unsuccessful for Yahoo. After it was signed, their shares continued to fall. This ultimately showed that the company could not withstand competition from Google. In attempts to regain market leadership, Yahoo changed its management more and more frequently, but each new CEO had their own approach to management, which only made the situation worse. Unsuccessful investments continued. Back in 2013, Yahoo acquired Tumblr for $1 billion. But by 2016, the company's value had plummeted drastically to just $230 million. In addition, the specific management style of the new CEO, Marissa Mayer, had a detrimental impact on the corporate culture. She introduced a strict policy of mandatory office attendance and a performance evaluation system, which caused sharp dissatisfaction among employees and accusations of discrimination against Yahoo's management. In addition, in 2013 and 2014, there were two of the largest data breaches in history, affecting more than 1 billion users. Yahoo was aware of what had happened, but neither of the breaches was made public until 2016. This negligent attitude toward data security ultimately undermined the public's trust in the company. As a result, in 2016, the American telecommunications corporation Verizon Communications acquired Yahoo for only $4.48 billion, a figure 10 times lower than what Microsoft had once offered. The deal did not include Yahoo Japan and Alibaba Group shares. The story of Yahoo is an example of how even the most promising companies can lose their leadership due to poor management, unclear priorities, and missed opportunities. Yahoo became a victim of its own success and failed to adequately assess the situation in a growing market. The lack of a clear direction, unsuccessful investments, rejection of promising deals, and inability to adapt led to the downfall of what was once a thriving internet empire. But the story of Yahoo does not end here. In 2023, the company officially announced a large-scale rebranding and modernization of its services, with the strategic hope of regaining its lost position and once again competing with industry giants like Google. Moreover, Yahoo is actively planning to return to the stock market and has set itself the highly ambitious goal of restoring its status as one of the key players in the global internet services market. Will it actually succeed? Time will tell.